Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Just moving the camera down. Yeah, so today's video is one that I have been wanting to film for a long time. So you guys have probably seen my story time of my second onstage experience at Derren Brown's latest tour, Only Human, and one of my most popular videos from his last tour was actually a review that I did in like a form of a Q&A, and I have about 20 questions, so this could be quite a long video, so prepare yourselves because I don't actually know how long it's going to be. So there's 10 just about the show, and then I've also got a few to answer about my onstage experience. And yeah, so if you're a fan of Derren Brown, but depending on the questions, this might also include spoilers about the show. So if you have tickets, then maybe don't watch this. But if you've seen the show, let me know what you thought of it. Because I did enjoy it, I really did, and so much in fact that I've booked to go and see it again in Bradford in March next year, so yeah. So I think I'm just going to get started. Question number 1, what was your first reaction when you saw Only Human? I think whenever I go and see Derren Brown, my reaction is always just like, what the fuck? Like, I always just leave the theatre just thinking, what have I just seen? Because you have so many questions about like the whole show, like so many different questions, and I think even more so if you know someone who's gone on stage or you've gone on stage yourself. And because obviously I'd had an onstage experience during the finale of the show, I was still like, my mind was all over the place. So yeah, it was very, very, very bizarre, and incredible experience, incredible show. But yeah, my reaction always just seems to be like just a whole mind scramble, because you never know what's going to happen with Derren, and I think that is one thing I love about him. Like, it's very much, like I said in my Showman review, fear of the unknown, and like not knowing what's going to happen next, or like what's going to happen in the actual show until you see it with your own eyes. So yeah. Question number 2, how would you describe the show in one sentence? I would describe Only Human in one sentence as I don't know, in one sentence, like prepare to have your mind blown, I guess. Just prepare for the most mind-boggling 2 hours of your life, because that's how it felt to me. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one, like maybe in a few words, but a sentence. Because I don't want to give like much away, I guess, as well. But yeah, I just think it's just a whole mind-boggling experience, and everyone's audience expectations are always quite high of Derren. I will be honest, and I will say it wasn't my favourite of his shows that I've seen, so yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Question number 3, what do you think Only Human is really about beneath the mind reading? From what I got about the show is obviously the main sort of I wouldn't say this one really had a theme. Well, I guess it did. It was all about like predictions and how I don't know if I mean, I got the name wrong in my other video. I think it was Nostradamus who, from what I gathered, he was a philosopher, I think. I don't really know. I can't quite remember now. But he got struck by lightning and could like predict the future or something, and he used different techniques to like predict the future. So yeah, and it was all about like, could we predict the future if we had like a near-death experience in a way. So yeah, that's what I got from the show. That's what I sort of took away from it. So I guess it's about that. And I mean, there was mind reading involved, of course there was, there always is with Derren, but like, yeah, that's what I got from it. Question number 4. What was your favourite effect or routine from the show and why? I really liked the beginning with the whole green and yellow cards. I thought that was really well done. And I think I put my card onto yellow when it was meant to be green, but luckily the person next to me told me to change it, so I changed it fast and then told Jade to do the same. So yeah, it was really, really, really fun. Like I've said though, I do think that some of his other shows have had a stronger like start to the show. My favourite routine, I think the near-death experience with the young guy was very interesting to watch, just because obviously as an audience member you do know that it's not real, but I guess for the person on stage it probably feels real. So yeah, it just, I would have like loved to have known someone who took part in that bit, just to know what, like, obviously how they felt and stuff, because it was still quite dark and I was a bit like, oh my god, like it was quite shocking. Well, ironically it was shocking, but yeah, it was quite, not a hard watch, but I was a bit like, I just felt like my jaw just dropped throughout that whole bit. But dare I say it, I think my favourite part of the show was the bit I got involved in, with the whole like photos, predictions and the finale. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's gonna make me sound really big-headed though, like the fact that the part of the show that I got involved in was my favourite part of the show, because it was. So yeah, I'm gonna say that bit. I feel like that bit was my favourite part, and just because like in a way I felt more connected with Derren this time round than I did at Showman. Yeah, it felt more personal, it felt very sentimental to me, and yeah, it gave me all the feels. There were points during my actual experience where I was quite emotional, because obviously the photo I submitted was one of me and Ollie. Obviously I miss Ollie every single second of every day, and to sort of do it as a sort of like memory thing was really, really sweet. And yeah, it was quite nice to sort of give him some, like, be able to talk about him again in front of an audience as well. So yeah. Question number 5? Yes, question number 5. How does this show compare to Derren's earlier work, like Showman or Miracle? I mean, I've only seen Showman and Only Human live. I've not seen any other Derren Brown show live. However, I've watched every single show he's done before on TV or on like Channel 4. yeah, I do think, I am going to be honest, as I've said, like, this review is just 100% me being honest. I will say now, the first half of the show, and I'd read like mixed reviews about the show, and quite a lot of people had said that the first half of the show was sort of a bit slower than the second half, and dare I say it, I do sort of agree with that. And I think because I had such a strong connection with Showman, like, throughout the whole show, that I do think that was my all-time favourite piece of his that I've seen. But don't get me wrong, like, I enjoyed Only Human, and if I didn't enjoy it, would I have booked to see it again? No. But I think because I did have that connection with, like, the finale of the show and getting involved physically on stage myself, it did mean that that part meant a lot to me, so I did sort of want to try and see it again. So yeah, but again, I do think like Miracle, Showman, and I will say Only Human is in my top 3 actually. Yeah, I would say it's in my top 3. So question number 6, what would you say to someone unsure about whether or not they should see Only Human? I would say definitely go see it. Like, I just feel like if you're a fan of Derren Brown, especially this show in particular, it reminded me very much of like old school Derren Brown. Like, it was more about the mind itself rather than magic, I guess. And I guess that's the reason why it was in one of my top 3, because I'd always found like hypnosis and mind reading in particular, like, 2 of the most, I don't know, 2 of the things that really interested me in him, and obviously to have both done to me, like, that genuinely impressed me a lot. So I would just say book tickets, go see him, and just embrace it. Go with an open mind, because I did it both times, and both times I ended up on stage. And if you're worried about going on stage, honestly, don't be worried. Like, I felt so welcomed by Derren when my photo came up, because I was shocked. I wasn't expecting it to be my photo, but the fact that it was, I was just like, okay, I'll take it. So yeah, it was a really, really cool, like, cute moment, and I won't forget it. Yeah, so yeah. Question number 7. Is there anything about this show that you would have liked if Derren had done it differently? Or was there a trick or routine that you didn't enjoy? I wouldn't say there was a part of the show that I didn't enjoy. However, I do think the bit that sort of went on for a long time was the, oh, what was it called? The yes and or no game or something. I just thought that was a bit like a bit of a filler for something. I just feel like they could have shortened it or just done something else with it, because that was a bit of a, like, knowing I had to sort of sit through it was a bit like, because obviously I'm used to like his wow moments, and there were a lot of wow moments in the show, but I'm sort of glad that was in like the start of the show, just because we could like get it out of the way. So yeah, it was very similar to like the couples game from Showman. Like, that was like one of my least favourite moments. So yeah, sorry Derren if you're watching. Question number 8. Without spoilers, what part of the show had the biggest emotional impact on you? I think it's gonna have to be the photo, because like I said, because my photo was so significant of like missing someone, it brought back like the memories, and the fact that I had to choose a fact about him that like no one could guess, only I would know, and having to think on the spot of something, and that was the first thing that popped into my head, like it just had to be that. And to sort of like, because I do feel like that was probably one of the proudest moments that he did, so to be able to think of that and then like for Derren to guess it was just incredible. So yeah, that whole segment, and the fact that like out of all of the people on that stage during the finale, for me to have played such a big important role in it, like it just made it so much more special to me. And yeah, just blew me away, really. It really did. Question number 9. Did the show challenge any beliefs or assumptions you had before going in? No, I don't think it did. I think I've always believed in everything he's done. I've never like made assumptions. I guess the only thing with me that I was always a bit skeptical about was the whole mind reading thing. And I always thought, does he actually know stuff about people? And then to have it happen to me, I was like, he does know stuff. Like, I didn't tell him any bit of information for him to get all of it correct, apart from one bit, but I'll let him off for that. And to just blow my mind in front of like 1,000 people, I think, like, so crazy. So yeah. And then the last question in this little segment, if I could ask Derren one question about this tour, what would it be? One question about this tour. I don't know. I think the one thing that really stood out to me, and I know from speaking to people who've done every single show, not ever done every single show, but like on Reddit especially, one of the themes that always pops up is about the guy who has the near-death experience. And it always makes me think, like, why does it have to be a man? Like, what, could it not be a woman at any point? And I did find a lot with this show, it is a lot of men up on stage. Obviously women do get picked as well and stuff, but it is mainly men, and I don't really get why that is. So yeah, but I wouldn't, other than that, I don't think I have any like questions about this particular tour. So yeah. Right, now we are moving on to the questions about my onstage experience. So this is the part of the video which could include spoilers, so just prepare yourself, because I don't know if it will contain spoilers or it won't. So yeah, bear with. So question number 1, did I volunteer or was I chosen at random? So I didn't really volunteer. Well, like when I got to the theatre and me and Jade were stood like outside the bar, just literally waiting for the doors to the auditorium to open, I think it was Tom from Derren's team came up to me and said, do any of you two have a photo that you wouldn't mind potentially being used in the show? And I submitted one, not really expecting mine to be chosen. And then during the show, when the photos were chosen and a few were like shuffled up and then they were picked out at random, and mine happened to be on there. So it was random and I didn't have to volunteer, but well, I technically did, but when I submitted it I didn't think anything of it. Like, I just thought, oh, it's just gonna be, it could be used, I wasn't sure, but yeah, so it was random. Question number 2, was I nervous on stage? No, I don't think I was nervous this time round. I remember at Showman, because obviously what happened to me was something quite scary, I was very nervous about that, because obviously it was my first time ever seeing Derren live, and I think that sort of made me a bit more nervous than how I would normally be. And for Derren to have to physically tell me to relax, and then for this onstage experience, before I went up, Tom had got like a bit of information from me and then was like, I just want to say you will absolutely love what is about to happen on stage. And for him to say that, it just relaxed me instantly. And just like, Derren was so lovely, and I think that's the good thing about Derren and his shows, because he genuinely cares about every single participant who is up on that stage. Like, he looks after them so well and just makes you feel relaxed, and I got that instantly. Like, I didn't feel vulnerable or anything, I just felt calm, I felt ready for what was about to happen. So yeah, I was very relaxed. Question number 3, could you see or hear the audience clearly from the stage? I couldn't see them. I knew there was audience members there, but I think because the first time I was stood like looking out to the audience, but this time I was placed on a chair and I was at the side of the stage and I was like quite far back, so it was more like looking at Derren, what he was doing on the stage, and just sort of reacting to that. So I guess in a way that made me forget that there was an audience, and I could obviously hear them like when they were reacting to like him getting stuff right and things, but I couldn't see them, so it's very odd, very odd. Question number 4, how long did it feel like you were up there? I want to say I was up on stage for about 15 minutes, maybe 20. I think it was 15. And I quite liked that. I quite like the fact that it was a long time on stage, because it just made me remember it more and sort of like appreciate it more. And the fact that I was like the most important person on that stage at that time, it just made me feel really special in a way. And like, obviously because it wasn't COVID, at the end of the experience I could actually hug Derren and sort of thank him for it, and it was just really nice to be able to like give him a hug and just, yeah, it was nice. So yeah. Question number 5, did it feel like he actually knew what you were thinking? Yeah, it did. Like, because I know a lot of people have said to me before, when you get your mind read, he looks for so many unconscious signals, so like facial movements, I think it is, and like finger movements and stuff, and for him to get so many things right, and obviously like when he's along the right lines, unconsciously you give away signals, and obviously I wasn't aware I was giving anything away, but turned out I was, and that just baffles me. Like, I don't understand how my body is telling him that it's right without me physically having to say anything. Because like when he asked me to think of a letter in the guy's name, instantly the letter L just appeared. Like, it just sort of flashed in my head, and I was like, I've got to think of that one. Like, nothing, like, no one said think of this. I did it myself. And then when he got that, and then the name, I was just like, and then for him to get like the interesting fact as well, I was just like, no. And then like the bit that blew me away the most was him guessing my job, and then the drawing matching my photo perfectly. Like, it was just so bizarre, so odd, but incredible. Question number 6. Did anything happen before or after that the audience didn't see? So, yes. So before I got taken up on stage, Derren told me to go and wait by the stairs, which I did. And then Tom came and found me and sort of like asked me to follow him. And he took me up some stairs and just sort of like stood me to the side and just said to, like, handed me a clipboard, pen and a piece of paper and said, could you write down the name of the person in the photo and the fact about them, which I did. And then he asked me to seal it up, like fold it up, put it in like a little envelope and hold on to it, like don't let anyone see it, which I did, and like hid it out of sight, so like no one could know what I'd written. Like, the audience didn't see, no one, as far as I'm aware, saw what I'd put. So yeah, very strange. Question number 8. Did you feel like your choices were influenced somehow? No, I didn't. Like, even picking the photo, like, this is the thing that blew my mind the most. When the objects were chosen during the first half of the show, like the Coke bottle, Alton Towers and the brown tie in the prophecy, like, my photo, like, without me realising, had a Coke bottle in. But if I had picked another photo, it wouldn't have worked. So the fact that it did work and that part of the prophecy became true, I was just like, when he pointed it out to the audience, I was just like, oh my god, like, it had to be that photo. And Nick, who was the guy who drew the unconscious drawing behind his back, he had to give it to me, because if he'd have given it to the other 2 people, it wouldn't have worked. So yeah, that's the bit that gets me the most, I think. Sorry, my throat's a bit meh. Question number 9, and then obviously, before I move on, but the red shoelaces. Like, the thing is, no one had told me to wear them, and when that came up in the show, like the very first time, and I looked down and was like, that's odd, because I was literally wearing red shoelaces. And then when I went on stage and it was revealing the whole prophecies, I was just like, oh no, it's going to be pointed out to the whole audience. And when it was, I was just like, oh my god, so strange. But yeah. Question number 9. Was I trying to figure it out, or was I just going along with what happened? In a way, you do sort of try figure out like how it's all done, but in a way I also don't want to know, because I feel like it would ruin it. So I just sort of went along with it, I guess. Like, I didn't try guess how he did it all and things like that, but it just sort of, I just sort of went along with what was happening on stage, and yeah, it's just so odd, so odd. And then finally, question number 10 or 20, however you want to look at it. Did it feel more like a trick or something genuinely psychological? Well, I mean, I guess it probably was just a trick at the end of the day, but in the heat of the moment, it did feel very psychological. Like, when he was reading my mind, he was genuinely focusing on like my hands, my eyes, like, I guess, like I said, with the unconscious like signals that I was probably giving off, like, you don't realise you're doing it. So when he gets stuff, it's like, it's crazy. But anyway, that was my Derren Brown Only Human review. I honestly hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and if you did and you've been to see the show, let me know what you thought, if you agree with me, if you disagree, or if you've been used in the show like I was. And yeah, if you did enjoy, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. But for now, this is Redhead Boo signing off. Bye!